Even after the cost increase, Stonehorn mount for the Hunter is still an auto-include based on what I've seen for most players in the 1.2 update. Most factions do have a tough time dealing with them. Often you can manage them, but it will be very difficult to kill them, especially in domination type battle. That being said, Cathay probably has the best tools for dealing with them, given that they have great armor-piercing missile play. Today, Medley sent in this one. It's got some good stuff going on here in the starting army. Dragon-blooded Shugengun, Dune Dragons, ROR, a couple of Celestial Dragon crossbow. An interesting choice here, I guess, looking for that elite AP damage. A Celestial Dragon Guard as well, 2 Grand Cannons, and 2 Peasant Spears. Sentinel in reserve with 4 Jade Lancers. Love this pick. Jade Lancers are awesome right now. 2 Iron Hail Gunners, 4 Jade Warriors, and 3 Peasant Long Spears. Slaughtermaster for the Ogres. We've got 2 Hunters as well. Single Lead Belcher, 1 Bull, 1 Bull Iron Fist, 3 Noblars. In reserve, some Mornfang with great weapons, 2 more Lead Belchers, 3 more Iron Fist Bulls, 3 more regular Bulls, 3 Saber Tusk Pack, and 2 Noblars. Let's get started. So, from the outset, I would say, the Celestial Dragon Guard crossbowman is an interesting one. I know they did receive a cost reduction in the most recent patch, but I do feel like oftentimes against Ogres, and especially on Domination, given that you need the extra capture weight, it can be better to just go wider with a greater volume of missiles. If you really want the armor-piercing damage for dealing with the Stonehorns, I totally get that. You might want to switch in a couple Iron Hail Gunners, and that would afford you the ability to also take 2 Peasant Archers on top of that, or even 4 Iron Hail Gunners in place of these 2 Archers, right? Or these 2 Crossbowmen, rather. But as we'll see here in a minute, I think it would have been useful to have just a couple of extra Archers to help kind of spread around that range damage, and also to act as capture, because of course, ranged infantry does still count as infantry when it comes to capture weight. Although the Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen are very cool. Maybe you still keep one of them just for that really elite AP punch. Their stats are also decent. I mean, you definitely don't want them fighting Ogres in melee combat at all, but that 95 armor, missile block chance will help them in a couple of situations. Dune Dragons advancing, looking really good with that black color scheme contrasting with the green there. Very good stuff. Let's see what the Ogres can do. The Stonehorn Hunters are going to be making their way forward. Of course, they have this item here that gives them stock and unspottable, which really, I mean, I think this item in particular needs to be changed or removed, honestly. It's a cool item, definitely. Gives stock and unspottable 15% damage resistance, and it shuts off the first time the Hunter gets in melee, right? So if you can spot them and tag them with any unit in melee combat, that will shut them off. But you can see here that both of them are able to maneuver up and around the flanks while taking 0 damage from these Grand Cannons, which is obviously very, very strong, and particularly in land battles can be quite oppressive. In Domination, typically you'll be able to reveal them and still have enough time to potentially deal with them, but right now, the Ogre player just going nice and wide with them, a little bit unsupported, which is dangerous, and just kind of running around back and forth with that Slaughtermaster, trying to dodge the cannon shots. Eventually, the Stonehorns are going to reveal themselves. They come into melee combat with the Grand Cannons there, which I get to a degree, but I might have gone after those Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen initially. Although, if you get too close to that Dragon-Blooded Lord, she might actually spot you. But let's see here. Storm of Shadows to debuff the speed there. That's from the Dragon-Blooded Lord. In terms of other spells, we've got the Ancestral Warriors summoned, of course. Very strong. Looks like the Iron Hail Gunners got brought in, and we've got some Jade Lancers as well to try and pin the Stonehorn in place. Keep its mass, at least, from getting to these Iron Hails. The Iron Hails will deal devastating damage up close. Since some of the kind of fixes to ranged troops, they are pretty solid. Right now, they're still trying to get set to fire, though. Stay within range of Harmony, of course, with that extra reload buff, and also conferring extra melee defense up to 37 on those Jade Lancers, which is pretty impressive for a shock-type cavalry. Meanwhile, the Ogres line's taking some damage from the cannons. You can see the Lead Belchers there definitely paying a price. Meanwhile, this is what I'm talking about here. So, for a little bit of a point of feedback for Medley, sending this 1 Jade Warrior over here to capture is definitely a good play. That being said, I would send 1 missile unit with them to maintain harmony, like especially just a cheap archer, and also kind of give them Overwatch, guarantee that they can beat a lot of the units that the Ogres can throw their way, even though that sword infantry is not anti-large, right? But you can see there the extreme damage of the Celestial Dragon Crossbow, and I guess that's why you bring them, right? It's just for the elite long-range AP damage, just shredding one Stonehorn. The other one getting caught up in the back here. Ancestral Warrior summoned, also doing extreme damage. Iron Hails just ripping Stonehorn apart. It goes down in a big hurry. Even that 35% missile resistance only helps so much when you're getting focused by massive AP damage. That being said, Cathay did capture here in the center. They're also capping out on the far side, but Ogres coming forward to contest. They've lost quite a bit of value, but certainly they still do have an opportunity to win this game if they can get ahead on victory tickets. And this Hunter right here is not out of the question. They did capture their home objective as well. A lot of people will forget to do this, even in high-level tournament games, so good to make sure that you do grab that objective. You can see the Stonehorn, or sorry, the Saber Tusks are able to get up and around, get into those Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen. The armor does help, certainly. Nice fist bump there, dropping on the Dune Dragons, doing some pretty good damage. But right now, the Celestial Dragon Crossbow not taking too much damage from the Saber Tusk pack. That armor and melee defense is certainly coming into play. Meanwhile, the other Stonehorn, get another Storm of Shadows and just getting bogged down here in this back line. Iron Hails. Oh, yeah, look at that beautiful gunpowder volley. Shotgun blast straight to the face. Just full-on skeet shooting. Absolutely awesome. Love me some quality gunpowder play. That is definitely some quality gunpowder play right there. That being said, Ogres are resurgent in the front line. They've also brought some Gnoblars out just to kind of stand here. I think Medley is not going to notice necessarily and path the swordsman into those Gnoblars, which would have been nice just to try and get rid of them since they're there unsupported. But focusing the micro here in the center, that's where we'll focus our attention as well. Talons of the Night here, tearing apart the Ogre lines. Also doing some pretty considerable friendly damage to the Dune Dragons, though, which is a little bit rough, but still. More Overwatch fire from the Iron Hail Gunners. They've got a little bit of a rise right here that they can kind of pull up on, get good line of sight. Not to mention, because Ogre models are generally taller, they can somewhat shoot up and over. I guess they have a little bit of an arc anyway to try and shoot over that slope. It's a very, very slight arc. But the missile presence from Cathay, definitely very legit. That being said, also another slight mistake. This is something to be aware of as a Cathayan player. Just make sure both of these Celestial Dragon Guard are, the crossbowmen rather, are on this objective. Right now, this one is probably counting its capture weight towards the objective, but this one also could be standing here just to ensure this objective ticks up even faster and you're able to hold it once you do secure it. But now we've got an Ogre Iron Fist coming over to help rest this objective, and that could be pretty decisive. Those little side objective plays that you might not notice will end up costing you battles, potentially, but let's see. Right now we've got a Sentinel brought out for Cathay, so definitely getting nice and aggressive here in the center, wanting some elite melee punch. More Saber Tusks rushing in, getting on these juicy Iron Hail Gunners. Definitely will be able to take them out in a big hurry, but paying a big price as the Jade Lancers quickly collapse. Likewise, for Medley, like retreating this very wounded Jade Lancer, this very wounded Iron Hail Gunner, just to let them heal, regenerate their ammo, and so they don't get shattered, allows you to have units resummon back in. Also something to be aware of, but right now things are looking okay. If they can hold both of these objectives, Cathay should be able to take this win home. That being said, the Hunter still alive, got some healing up to its healing cap. In fact, another Storm of the Night there being cast. Keep a nice wide view as Cathay pushes, tries to secure this objective. But again, this is a situation where, I mean, the Jade Warriors are going to perform reasonably well considering they're up against a significant amount of value more than their own. The unit of Peasant Archers, though, would have completely equalized this fight in terms of actual gold value. Likewise, the Gnoblars wouldn't have been able to just stand there, even if you didn't notice and micro the Jade Warriors into the Gnoblars earlier. You know, the Peasant Archers would, at the very least, still be shooting, right? So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I would possibly fine-tune this army composition a little bit, maybe trade out, again, one of the Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen for an Iron Hail, maybe take a couple Peasant Archers. Let me know. Definitely some different options of what you could do. Right now, though, the Cathayan infantry is resurgent. You can see all these peasants coming forward. We've got cannon shots raining in as well. The Sentinel is a nice centerpiece, providing some terror, pushing back low leadership of the Ogres. The Ogres are just completely just flattened here in the center by a very, very strong Cathayan push. But unfortunately, in terms of victory tickets, It's going to be tough to re-secure this objective. We do see the Stonehorn heading over there. More Jade Lancers also being deployed. Iron Hails and the other range units are trying to make their way over to support, but Jade Warriors actually holding out reasonably well. Like I said, all things considered, that armor definitely helps against the low-tier Ogres. Let's see. Still quite a bit of game left, and it's anyone's game at this point, even still. Cathay just pushing forward in the center, making sure to try and keep as many of these units routing as possible, which is definitely the right play. Got to be careful, though. There's a couple of Ogre units that could swoop in, get at this Grand Cannon, so it's worth it to maybe bank a little bit of supply, have units to be able to resummon off of this summon objective, to be able to quickly protect. You could maybe even bait in those units to like a unit of spears or something. Anyway, checking in on the side objective here, very important. String Gun Lord do come over and try to support, but Talons of the Night again being cast here that really does more friendly damage than anything else. Against Ogres, this spell can be pretty decent, but you saw there it took a good chunk out of those Jade Lancers, and although it does lead to both of those Ogre Bulls being routed, not sure that ended up being worth it at the end of the day. Cathay also wasn't able to actually hold this objective. Of course, Ogre Kingdoms were able to seize it some time ago, so that does mean they're going to be able to take a lead on victory tickets here if Cathay can't secure as soon as possible. And again, with the missile play, just make sure you get these missile units up on the objective, fire, and yeah, add their capture weight here. Anyway, back to the center. Cathay lines reforming. We've got the Terracotta Sentinel that swung back, and I guess it was Jade Lancers that were deployed to protect the Grand Cannon here. Make sure they can keep that thing firing for as long as possible. Keep these units from charging down the hill. There's more Ogres making their way up and over the slope there through the forest. Trying to come tangle with the Cathayan troops here. Yep, looks like the cannon got unsummoned there rather than being fully compromised. Might as well just get the refund of the points. Looks like the Ogres were able to take the lead finally on victory tickets, but objective should be secured soon, perhaps, maybe, big maybe. More Ogre Bulls are charging through, and the Ogre player, in terms of macro sort of positioning, you know, and unit summons, definitely doing the right thing by just continuing to pile value over on this far side rather than even trying to go after the center. He's also kind of occupying over on this side, piling troops over this slope, so I mean, Cathay could maybe try and push out over the open ground to seize this objective number 3. Would be tricky, but Ogres massing enough troops here in the back line that they're able to overcome those Jade Lancers there. One more Iron Hails coming in. They might quickly get run over, but let's keep a nice wide view as there is quite a bit going on that's pretty important. The Saber-Tusk Pack and the Bulls finally cleaning up those noble Jade Warriors that held for so long. Peasant Long Spears holding admirably, but this Mournfang Cavalry with great weapons is a nasty late-game play to help deal with any mobile troops that would come in. I mean, I'm personally a huge fan of Jade Lancers right now, but there's no chance they're going to stand up this heavy anti-large armor-piercing damage of the Mournfangs. So not a good situation for them at all, and suddenly Cathay's chance of actually taking this objective back is looking pretty grim, all things considered. They're now kind of forced to just hold the center objective for the time being. More spears being brought in to hold off the Ogre Bulls there. Iron Hails also kind of continuing to reposition. Terracotta Sentinel, a little bit of a mistake. Maybe it should have been sent over here. I mean, obviously, hindsight being 2020, would have been nice to have it in this on this objective. You know, since you have this very strong infantry force holding objective number 2, why not send your big strong monster to hold the other critical objective? That being said, Shingun Lord does go down, not before getting off one more Talons of the Night here, but those Mournfangs with great weapons. My own experience recently with Ogre Cavalry has been that they are very good, especially when supported by Bullgorger and other good winds of magic from Lore of the Great Maw. So, nasty, nasty stuff. They're going to continue their Ogre charge straight into these Jade Warriors, Jade Lancers, and more. All the green lads of Cathay just getting sent tumbling their doom by the oversized cavalry here. Man, Mournfangs are just so huge. Crushers are even bigger. Might talk about Crushers sometime in the future. I know I've talked about them a little bit already, but at this point it's going to be pretty hard for Cathay to retake any objectives. We'll fast forward a little bit with a nice wide view, and it looks like, yeah, going to throw in the towel there. So Again, even though it might seem like a very small thing, that one archer on that side objective would have just meant that Cathay could have held it for an additional minute or two, which might have made the difference in terms of the tickets needed for victory. Um, yeah, it's tricky to say. You know, I like the sending of a sword Jade Warrior over there. You might think that's a little counterintuitive, considering you're against ogres. Why not just send a cheap spear? But the Jade Warriors do have shields and armor, which helps protect them against a gank from something like Noblar Trapper, right? Which is definitely a possibility on one of those side objectives. I just think, again, a little bit of cheap archer support would have gone a long way into helping hold that side objective, just forcing the ogres to commit more resources over there. And then, yeah, from a tactical perspective, late game, maybe just maneuvering Sentinel over there would have helped hold that objective a little bit longer. It's tough to say. The elite anti-large AP, I say elite. It is elite in many ways, but not even as elite as the ogres can go. The Mournfangs definitely made their presence felt. No question about that. Cheap Bulls also super cost effective. Same thing to Saber Tusk Pack. If they get the right target, they can be very good. A little bit low leadership, but that's okay. The Stonehorns did get limited, so I mean, in terms of victory conditions, that was one of the ones that Medley needed to fulfill to win here. Unfortunately, the other was obviously holding the victory objectives, so that one was not accomplished. But still, definitely a great battle and great use of some awesome Cathayan units. Dune Dragons, I'm surprised they didn't get more damage value because of what they did, but the crossbowmen, I know I was saying you maybe should trade them out. That's mostly because you come in here and look at the Iron Hail Gunners, and they have, like, not necessarily exactly the same performance. Obviously, they're a little bit more vulnerable. You'd have to allocate resources to actually protect them a little bit more, but at the same time, the ability to go wider means you have the resources to do that, potentially, right? So, I don't know. They all performed very well, it must be said. They had some good targets to shoot at. Likewise, Jade Lancers just doing great, like they typically do in this current patch. A Peasant Long Spear is pretty much always going to be good in this matchup. And then the Jade Warriors, I'd probably go with a handful less. You switch out, like, these 3 for halberds maybe, and just take the 1 sword to kind of hold the objective. But I don't know, I'm definitely no expert in this matchup. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.